Abhishek Biswas, a graduate student at the University of Arizona's College of Optical Sciences. Today I will be explaining about the speed of light, its significance, its history of measurement, and provide a very interesting yet simple demonstration of how we sitting at home using household items can estimate the speed of light. So first let's discuss what is the speed of light, the value, and why is it so important. Now the speed of light in a vacuum is actually 299792458 meters per second. This is an incredibly high value which it's difficult for normal people to even fathom how fast this is. But it's finite. Now, what is the significance of the speed of light? Firstly, nothing can move faster than the speed of light. It's the fastest speed which an object or any classical piece of information can propagate. Nothing can move faster than that. So in a sense, the speed of light is what we call the cosmic speed limit. Another interesting thing about the speed of light, which was given by Albert Einstein in the year 1905 by his special theory of relativity, is that speed of light is same for all observers and the corresponding inertial frames of reference. That is, the speed of light does not depend on the movement of the light source or the observer. This is very counterintuitive because we know from our everyday experience that speeds are relative. Like if you move in a particular direction, if the object is moving at a particular direction, you have to add or subtract to get the correct speed. But for light, this doesn't happen. It's always the same irrespective of the motion of the light source or the object. And this leads to a lot of different very counterintuitive phenomena. For example, length contraction. So objects which move very fast with speeds comparable to the speed of light will actually shorten, and also objects which move close to the speed of light will experience time which will move slower. So these are counterintuitive phenomena which are associated with this light, the speed of light, and the special theory of relativity. Another very important and interesting thing about the speed of light is it's the same speed for all types of electromagnetic radiation and also for gravitational waves. That is X-rays, gamma rays, infrared, ultraviolet, everything moves at the speed of light. And also gravitational waves, which recently came in the headlines, also move at this speed, although there is no apparent correlation between light and gravity. At least it's not apparent for normal people. So now that we have discussed about the significance and why the speed of light is of such great importance, I will discuss a brief history of the measurement of the speed of light. In ancient and medieval times, people believed that the speed of light is infinite, that is, light moves instantaneously. In the year 1675, Romer and Huygens came up with an experiment in which they observed a particular moon of Jupiter and tracked its movement across the horizon, and they estimated the speed of light to be around 2.2 times 10 to the power 8 meters per second, which is quite close with an error of about 25%, but the most important thing is that the order of magnitude is correct, and also that he was able to definitely prove that it is a finite value and not infinite like people had earlier thought. Then there were other experimentalists like Bradley, who used the aberration of light, the stellar aberration, to estimate the speed of light. He got a value which was more accurate, like close to 3 times 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Then there were very famous experimentalists like Foucault and Fizeau, who used the rotating mirrors and toothed wheels to estimate the speed of light. And then there were people like Michelson, who once again used rotating mirrors, which was one of the most famous experiments ever performed. And then there were people like SN, Gordon Smith, Evanson, who used different techniques which were related to optics, like laser interferometry, which is one of the most accurate methods of measuring things. As you know, that the gravitational waves also use the system of laser interferometry. It's the most accurate way in which you can measure things. And Evanson actually achieved at a value which is very, very close to the actual accepted value of 299792458. And later in 1983, it was decided by the international community of physicists and engineers that the meter would be defined to be the distance that light moves in 1 divided by 299792458 seconds. And as a consequence of this, the speed of light is exactly this value without any error, because the meter is defined the way it is. Now, let me discuss about electromagnetic radiation. As I told before, electromagnetic radiation encompasses many different types of radiation such as X-rays, microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, infrared, ultraviolet. And all of these move at the same speed, which is the speed of visible light. Very interestingly, what we see is that all these types of radiation only vary in the frequency and the wavelength. So the frequency of X-rays is different from gamma rays, is different from ultraviolet, and the corresponding wavelength, but the speed is the same. Now I will discuss about one particular type of radiation which will be involved in the experiment which I described after a couple of minutes, which is called microwaves. Now we've all heard of microwaves because we all have microwave ovens at home. So microwaves are basically a type of EM radiation, and it has a range of wavelength from 1 meter to 1 millimeter, and it has different applications like in communication, in mobile communication, also in navigation, radar, and obviously at our home for heating. Now that we have discussed about microwaves, I will try to describe a very interesting experiment about the speed, how we can measure the speed of light sitting at home. What do you need for this? You only need a microwave oven, which I told about, and you need a chocolate bar, which everyone likes to have chocolates at home, and a metric ruler like I have over here. Now using these very simple tools which we all have at home, we can actually estimate the speed of light. So what do you have to do? You switch on your microwave oven, you have a turntable inside the microwave. So what happens, how do microwave heat the food? So it actually sets up a standing wave. What is a standing wave? It is a wave which actually oscillates in time, but the amplitude remains the same, and this oscillatory wave or standing wave actually heats our food, and that is why we rotate the food so that the entire food is heated uniformly. But for this particular experiment, we don't want it to rotate. So what do? We remove the turntable, we take a plate, we invert it, and we keep our chocolate bar on top of the plate. Then we close the door of the microwave oven and we heat it for approximately 30 seconds so that the chocolate bar starts melting. The melting process starts, but it doesn't completely melt because I don't think any of you want to have a puddle of chocolate in front of you. So once we do this, we take out the chocolate bar from the microwave oven and we do some very simple measurements, and you will be surprised by what we can get with this. So let's see what we get. On this experiment like 10 minutes back, and this is the chocolate bar which I got after the experiment, after I put it inside the microwave. Now if you look close, you'll see that instead of melting uniformly, the heat generated by the microwaves is concentrated in a few points. So you can see 3 points which have been formed here. Now these 3 points which I point towards now are actually correspond to the points where maximum heat has been transferred, and since microwaves work by setting up standing waves, these correspond to the oscillatory maxima of the standing wave. So what we need to do now is to measure the distance between any two consecutive spots. So let me measure the distance between this spot and the one right at the corner, which I hope you all can see. So if I measure the distance here, I see that it's approximately 6.5 centimeters. So this is the distance between two spots. Now what do these 2 points denote in the sense of physics? What is the physical significance of these 2 points? So the distance, as I said, is 6.5 centimeters. Now what is the physical significance of this distance? As I said, that microwaves work by setting up standing waves inside the cavity. So these 2 points, the distance between those two which I measured, actually is the distance between one crest and a trough of the standing wave. And we all know that wavelength is defined as the distance either between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs. So we can understand that this distance is actually half the wavelength, and we want to measure the wavelength. So the wavelength will be 6.5 times 2, which is 13 centimeters. So 13 centimeters is the wavelength of light or of microwaves, as the case is here. So once we know the wavelength, we now need to know the frequency, and we multiply the frequency and the wavelength to get the speed of an electromagnetic wave. So what is the frequency? So the frequency which we want to measure here is the frequency of microwaves, and we luckily don't need to make any measurement for this. If you just look at the back side of your microwave, it's usually mentioned along with the power rating, and the frequency of commercial microwave ovens is about 2.45 gigahertz, which is 2.45 times 10 to the power 9 hertz in SI system of units. So we know the frequency, we know the wavelength, and we know that electromagnetic radiation, they follow a very interesting and a very important relation C is equal to F lambda. So once we know F and lambda, we can calculate C by multiplying these two. So what do we get when we multiply these two? I did the calculation a while back, and by multiplying 13 centimeters multiplied that by the frequency, which is 2.45 gigahertz in the respective correct units, we get a value which is close to 3.185 times 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Now this is not very accurate, but it's in the correct order of magnitude. So what is important is that we are able to actually estimate the speed of light, something which we couldn't even think can be measured sitting at home, and we get quite an accurate value which is actually historically close to the value which has been measured over the years, like I discussed before. So in this experiment, we have measured the speed of light or the speed of microwaves using a very simple setup which you all, I think, are very interested to try it at home. You don't need anything, you just need stuff which you have at home, and this is an interesting way to understand about a very, very important thing in physics, the speed of light, which all students who are studying science and engineering will encounter countless number of times in your pursuit of education. Now this measurement, whenever we make a measurement, it is very important that we know about the error or the uncertainty which is associated with the measurement, and what are the possible reasons for this uncertainty. So what are the possible reasons why it didn't come to exactly 3 times 10 to the power 8? Well, we don't obviously expect it to come the exact value, because we know that this value which we have measured is the speed of light in a vacuum, but we are obviously measuring it, the speed of light in a microwave, in air, so it's not supposed to be the exact value, but that is a very small error. So what are the other sources of error? Number one, if you look at the chocolate bar which I showed, we don't get well-defined spots which we should get in case of a wave. Like we have one well-defined crest and a well-defined trough, but here we have a sort of a blob or a point spread function instead of a point. So that's why there is an inherent error which we encounter when measuring distances. Now another source of error which we will encounter is because these microwaves are not strictly single frequency. Even the best of lasers are not single frequency. We have a spread. So while these components will individually follow the C equal to F lambda relation, they don't measure in a cumulative way. So in that is another source of error. So once we have discussed these different sources of error, we can appreciate that we have made a good measurement which is quite accurate, having a very low level of error, and we can actually appreciate the speed of light, its measurement, its history, and the importance that it holds in the world of physics. I hope all of you liked to hear me, like my demonstration and my experiment today, and I hope you all are raring to go to try this out at home and unearth the beauty of physics and optics. Thank you very much.